So Maharshi in the 33rd sloka said, Maitri Karuna Mudivechanam Sukha Dukha Punya Punya Vishayam Bhavana Tashyasta Prasadana. Here we said about Maitri. Mahatrayate Maitri, we explained about it. Maharshi explains about the universal love. And this universal love, how can it happen? He said that taming of the mind requires the development of goodwill and universal love toward all. Taming of mind is required. What is a taming of mind? It shows the mind is wild. In wilderness, mind travels in all directions without any goal or a firm determination. Whichever path it derives, it goes on that. It's called wilderness. It's not oriented, it's not programmed, it's not restricted, its movements. Why a restriction is required? Restriction is necessary. That's a discipline, it's not restriction. Even though we call as restriction, everything has its own discipline. In every form there is discipline. Swatantrata said, why not the mind can have Swatantrata? Many of the words Swatantrata, I have explained about that. Independence, Swatantrata. Swayata tantreyat trayati swatantrata. Swayam, uplift from the tantras, from the activities of the external objects. Not get swayam, should not get attracted to the external objectivities and should be able to uplift oneself is called swatantrata nature. Swatantrata is not what you think. So that's Swatantra. So disciplined, oriented towards the taming. That's why he said about taming of the mind. That's called Swatantrata. Swatantrata is not to create actions and thoughts without any discipline. But with the discipline of taking the swayam, the self, towards the upliftment towards the truth and Brahman, is called the Swatantrata. I always said, earlier also probably some of the classes when you go to, freedom to execute the right things, freedom to execute the dharmic way of living is called Swatantra. That means Swayam upliftment. Freedom to uplift oneself. Today, there is no freedom. We are entangled with the vicious circle of the objective experiences of the mind and entangled with something or other, and we consider it as freedom. Freedom to talk anything, freedom to behave any way you like, freedom to do anything you like, freedom not to do anything you like is what considered as freedom today. That's why people want freedom. They think of freedom only because that they would like to do whatever they think is right is considered as the freedom. But the true meaning of Swatantrata is that Swayatat trayate Swayatat tantre tasya trayate iti Swatantrata. Swayam, to uplift oneself from the entanglement of Tantra, that is Tana, bodily physical experiences, to get upliftment from the physical external experience, external or physical experiences is called Swatantrata. Today we are entangled with the result of the physical experiences and objective experiences. There is no freedom. One is unable to. Today you ask somebody to think independently without depending on anything. Just think something. I don't think there's anyone who can do it. We are dependent on something or other in order to think. And independent, we always say that you tell your independent opinion. We always talk about independence. We say that tell your independent opinion, tell your independent activity. We talk about it. But we only say about dependent thought, dependent activity, dependent purpose. There is swarthada in every thought. There is swarthada. It is the wilderness of the mind, which is mind is not tuned and toned towards the right way. That's called the adhyatmic way. Forget about spirituality or grihastha-ashrama or brahmacharyatva or vanaprastha-ashrama, any ashrama. Take in any ashrama for that matter. Whether he is a child, whether he is an old man or a young man. Forget about the status of a person, individuality, or an educational qualification, or any status of education, or any other statuses that we consider as status. Can any of them act independently? Everything is dependence. Bhagavan said to Arjuna, your Vishada is dependence. Your thought has become dependent on something, that's why the Vishada has come. From the Vishada you have to attain the Vishada Yoga, he said. Vishada, you are influenced by the depression or disappointments that you have created. Your association has created. Your thought of associating has created. You have not enjoyed the pleasures of association, but you still have only those expectations of association. This association of the mind towards that physical and externalities is the one which is wilderness, where the taming of mind, in the sense, the taming of that is required. It has to be cultured. Samskara has to be there. People when behave erratically, when they behave unruly, when they behave in an indisciplinary manner. What is indisciplinary manner again? If the mind is not following the dharmic path, dharma patham, it is indiscipline. Only the one's mind who is following the path is called the dharma patham, or the disciplined mind. All other things are indisciplined. Your thoughts, your thinking, according to your own whims and fancies, is an indiscipline. There is no discipline on that. That is not freedom of thought. That is not freedom of thinking. Today, freedom of thought is that whatever somebody wants should be able to speak, do, act, is what people think as freedom. Freedom of act and freedom of thought and freedom of activities should be dependent on dharma, in totality of dharma, through that only. Otherwise, anything what you think you spoke, anything what you think you did, anything what you thought you activate, create, whether it is creating santulanata or asantulanata, balance in the universe, I am not bothered. Let me criticize whether it creates balance or imbalance, I am not bothered. Let me create atrocities in the society, it is swatantra. I am independent, I am swatantra to do it. I am free to do it, we call it. I am free to think of that. I am free to do that. Freedom, swatantrata, comes only, I said that, freedom to do the right things. Freedom to do the right dharmic way of living is called freedom. Today that freedom, other than that freedom, all other independence is there. There is no freedom today. Every person, every individual is entangled with some sort of dependence. Dependent on certain culture, dependent on certain people, dependent on certain activities, dependent on certain particular thoughts that they created according to them, healthy. Like that, dependence on each and every of those things are created. That they called it as independence. They said freedom of press. They should, one word, they would like to print anything they require. They think to sell their product. Freedom of, same thing happens to us also. We would like to sell ourselves. We would like to impress upon others that I am the best. So we would like to sell all those which are not at all disciplined. Durvichara, durmanasa, durvyavahara, and ninda, and duschintaha, durmanasya. These are all the ones which are wilderness of mind, which is left as it is. But we think it is freedom. I am free to talk what I like. At least if I can't talk, at least I am free to think what I like. No. You are not allowed to think what you like. You have to think in this manner. It's called discipline, is called swatantrem, swatantrata. Swatantrata to do, freedom to do it. The other one is dependence of doing it. Dependence is based on emotions, vasana. That's why dependence comes. Dependent on this, dependent on that, dependent on this. Dependent on my pleasure, my happiness. They are all vasana, dependent on this. So how can one who is dependent on all those things can have goodwill and universal? Goodwill. The will, goodness to the will is goodwill. Goodness to the will. That will, once you have the will, that will should not create any imbalance in your system. It's called goodness of will. It's called goodwill. The thought of goodwill. Will is what? The Swayam, the Atma, the Prana, the will. The consciousness is the will. Goodness to that will, good will. Towards that. If that will itself is not good, how can there be freedom? In the will. If that will, if that prana, in that prana, that what is gives peace, that gives balance, that gives consciousness, that gives knowledge to the prana, that gives knowledge to the self or the antakarana or the mana and the indriyas is called the freedom. That freedom is not dependent upon anything else, nor anybody's activities, nor your own activities, nor anybody's thoughts, nor environment, nor situation, nor the birth, nor the bringing up. They are not dependent on anything. That is called the freedom. Freedom, what is means free? That which is not entanglement is called freedom. That which is not tied up with anything is called freedom. The mind which doesn't have the vasanas, the mind doesn't have the dependence, the mind which doesn't have any other negative activities and characteristics, which has got the samskara. In fact, the samskara is the result of the true activity of the goodwill or the true activity of the mana through the dharmic way is called samskara. Otherwise, the samskara becomes, the culture becomes wrong, the culture becomes bad, their association becomes bad. Whose association? We all think of external things associated to that. We are happy because of that, we are sad because of that, we are worried because of that. So we associate with many other things in order to get those emotions. Those associations are where? Where is it happening? Everything is happening in your mind. Associations. Where you want to associate, where you want to disassociate, both are happening in the mind. In certain situations, you want to disassociate. In certain situations, you want to associate. So the association makes you sad, disassociation makes you happy. Or the vice versa. It can happen, that also. So this is what you think is freedom. In both the cases, what happens? You are dependent. Even your thought is dependent on the association and disassociation. When the association and disassociation is removed from the activity of your mind, then only the thought is free. Otherwise, all the thoughts are dependent on those. All your thoughts are based on the cheap emotional activities, the cheap emotions. The persons who has got the association with those, why did I say cheap? Because emotions are cheap. Emotions destroy you. Emotions makes you act not according to your own truth, your own characteristic, your own swabhava, because you acquire another swabhava and activate according to it. When you are associating another swabhava, it can be animality, it can be chaturya, it can be many other activities are there, no? Deceiving, many other, or good, doing something good, not doing something good, everything is association. All this, when it is associated with any external activity, when it is associated with any external, your bhautika attachment, it's called vasana. That vasana is the one which is creating the indisciplined mind. So the mind would like to qualify and classify dependence and the freedom according to its own requirement. In fact, when you are associated or dependent on anything, you are not free. It's a simple understanding situation. When your thought is dependent on something, when your association, when your thought is dependent on dependent on your activities or the bhautika activities, materialistic activities, sharirik activities, or towards the pleasure and pain, when that orientation is there, attachment, association is there, you are not free. The free will or the good will is not there. The free will, the good will, which doesn't have any attachment to any association to any of the basis, neither because of your past experience, nor the present experience, nor the expectations, should be the one which is giving you freedom of entanglement. That freedom of entanglement only you will have. That's why it is known as the good will. Very simple to understand. Even if we say the good will is that to do something good for others. In order to do something good for others, you should be good. Then only you can do good. That what you have got in stock only can be spent. Very simple. You cannot spend something which you do not have. No. If you want to do something good for others, you should have the good. You should have the good thought, you should have the good will. Here what happens? We consider the good will in the materialistic way of living. We call good will is that whatever he does help for others based on his own what? Swarthata, for his own benefit, for his satisfaction, for his fame, for his promotion, for his association, for his disassociation, whatever he does, he considers it as a goodwill. Not what he does that good for you. Where are you going? First you start from with you. The moment you disobey, the moment you indiscipline, the moment you talk something which is not dharmic, the moment you have ninda, the moment you have gossip, the moment you have wrong thoughts, the moment you have wrong activities, the moment you have wrong intentions, all this will lead you to entanglement of not the goodwill. The goodwill is that to keep yourself, the antaratma, away from all these attachments and associations and disassociations. It should not be dependent on anything. Then what it should be dependent? When you are not dependent on any of the externalities, it will be dependent on internalities. What is internality? Is Brahma Tattvam, Brahma Jnanam. That's the only thing what we are born with. We have inherited with us. When we are born, what we have brought, and when we are dying, what we take? Only consciousness. That is yours. That should be free. That consciousness should be free. That which you claim, or not claim, that which you can confirm that it is yours. All other things are claiming that it is yours. Nothing that which you claimed that it's yours have remained with you and will never remain with you. That which you claimed yours. You said your life is gone. We start from there. Now you can imagine below that whatever it is there. He said, my life itself is falsehood, is it not? That itself is falsehood. Where are you dependent on? So forget about all other activities in life, all other thoughts in life. Everything is null and void. What is that good? What is that independence? Independence to the consciousness is called freedom of the self. Not the freedom from this, freedom from that, freedom from that, from freedom. Women want Nari, what is it? Swatantrata. From whom? From what you want Swatantrata? From what you want freedom? From the people of the other people of the world? From the activities of yours? Or from entanglements that you have created? Or the food you want, you are eating? Freedom from that? Or the activities that you are having? From where? From what you want freedom? Big words of freedom, right? Freedom from that, freedom from this. Freedom from your untamed mind. Association with other activities is called the good will, the goodness of will. Your antaratma, the consciousness that what you have brought in order to experience certain things and carry forward, carry along with you the knowledge of those experiences, from those experiences. Knowledge from those experiences. You are not supposed to carry the experiences of that which you have exerted yourself in this Janma, in this Bhumi, Karma Bhumi, but what? The knowledge of those experiences. Not the experiences as it is. Experience is mixture of various things. It is with knowledge, emotion, attraction, attachment, desire, all put together is the experience. After experiencing with all these paraphernalias, with all these tools, you derive at a conclusion which is knowledge of yours. This is not to be done, is the knowledge. I should not get associated with this, is the knowledge. I should get associated with the Brahman that only gives me the right path and right, the true path, that immortality, where I attain the immortality, where it is called the truth. That which is immortal is the truth. Truth is not an activity. We see that, tell the truth. We can't tell the truth, even though it's a normal use that we use. We are only saying that, tell the fact that what you know, that's all. Is it the truth that a person speaks? I have seen that. I have seen this is happening. He has seen it. According to him, that is the truth. I have explained about truth. It's not the truth. Truth cannot be told. Truth is that experienced. Truth is that. That's called Satya. It's an avastha, Satya avastha. The status of truth. All other things are circumstantial evidences, that's all. Well, because there is no proper word for that, we are borrowing this word from the spirituality to utilize in the Bhautika Jivan. That's how this is misunderstood. The truth is misunderstood. What is written here is the truth. How do I know? Unless I have the knowledge in that consciousness, the absolute consciousness. That's called the truth. So, why I am saying this, that a person who is walking on spirituality, as I told you, have to purify the mind. There is no other way. Otherwise one can meditate or even pray. One is not eligible even to do puja.